I already know. I don't know what people are gonna say. I can just see it right now. I can just see it right now. What people are already gonna say once they see the word rant in this title. Because I know lots, not lots, but probably like over 1 million people probably like this movie a lot. Say it's the best Marvel film they've seen. I know, but like I said, and I respect anyone's opinions on this. If you love the movie, if you think it's the best movie of the year or so forth, I hold nothing against anybody. If you think it's awesome, great. If you think it's like the best movie of the year, great. I hold nothing against anybody. Like, I'm not here to change anybody's opinions. I don't change anybody's opinions. I don't. I respect people's opinions, but we just disagree. That's the thing. We just agree to disagree on things. Especially when it comes to movies, yeah, we disagree. Every film has a fan or a hater, right? But, I can just already imagine they're automatically going to jump on the bandwagon, see the comments, oh, you hate this movie, you're an idiot, you are a moron, you just don't like comic book movies or whatever, Marvel movies. Well, first of all, yeah, I'll say right now, I was not a fan of the movie. I wasn't. I already see all the comments coming for me. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get shit on so much. I mean, my brother already shits on me for not liking this movie. He calls me an idiot. If anyone, all the stuff, I already hear it. I already know all this for my brother already. All right, I got everything. He says I hate everything. I'm a snob, right? So I already got all that from him. And so whoever says, if they agree, if you just leave, oh, okay, I respect your opinion. I like this movie, right? I just see all that. I'm just saying, I get all that from him. So, all right, that's already firsthand getting shit on already. So I had to let all that out first. But the thing is, though, this movie is not going to be is not even close to being in my top list of the worst movies I've seen this year. I've seen a whole lot more movies a lot worse than Spider-Man No Way Home. Especially the past Marvel films, Black Widow, Eternals, Shang-Chi, Venom 2. But yeah, those are Marvel films I thought are much worse. Even other films in general I think are so much lot worse than Spider-Man No Way Home. Cruella, Green Knight, Jungle Cruise, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. Those are all a lot worse than this movie. But I was not a big fan. I don't full on hate it like I did on the other past movies. I don't full on hate it. There are positives I like about this movie. Yes, it probably made people calm down. Probably, yeah. Tom Holland, acting wise, he still does a good job as Peter Parker. He does. Acting wise, he does a good job still. Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus. I enjoyed him. It's always nice to see him again. He did a good job playing Dr. Octopus. It was cool to see him again. Jamie Foxx as Electro, his image, the way he looked, it was much better than he did in Amazing Spider-Man 2. But his acting, yeah, I like Jamie Foxx. He was good. Willem Dafoe, as people are going to bring up, he's still doing the best he can as the Green Goblin. To be fair, yes. I know, especially in the first Spider-Man film, over the top, hamming it up, as chewing the scenery, as they call it, as when he plays the voice, when he does his Green Goblin voice. He's still trying the best he can as the Green Goblin. And I do like some of the fight scenes. Well, I like the fight with Doc Ock on the bridge. I like that. Even some of the fight when Green Goblin was fighting Spider-Man in the apartment, slamming through floor to floor. But there was a couple things I also liked, yes, and even some of the involving with the other two Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, which we already knew they were going to be in this movie. Back then they were saying they were denying this. We all knew they were. They were just bullshitting us around, just to get us going, more hype for the movie. But the substances with them I did like, with some moments that I liked with them, I did. But problem is, I know people were so looking forward to this, and people were mentioning about this. Even I brought up maybe the Sinister Six, right? Sadly, though, you're not getting that. Yes, if people mention about Sinister Six, you're not getting that. The opportunity when people were thinking, oh, we're gonna get the Sinister Six. Well, you're not getting it. And once again, the whole thing to making the villain sympathetic. Like I mentioned before about they're trying to make all the villains sympathetic and all that stuff. When I mentioned there's some villains they're just straight up villains they can't be sympathetic to. And I've seen other past Marvel films they tried doing that. Well, Shang-Chi for one, with his dad. Oh, don't feel sorry because he misses his wife. He wants to see his wife again. That's why he's doing that, like that. We try to feel sympathetic for Killmonger and Black Panther. I was supposed to feel sympathetic for him when he said he wants to kill children, right? When he mentions he wants to kill children, I get no sympathy for him. Like that. Or because of how the way he grew up, when he lost his father and all that stuff, right? I mean, like I said, they're trying to make us sympathetic. All these villains, I'm just kind of tired of seeing that, because they're villains. They're supposed to be bad guys, right? In comic books, they're bad guys. Yeah, there's a couple of moments where maybe I'll feel sorry moment, but they're still villains though. Still, when I try to kill Spider-Man, but and the whole thing. And the whole thing was a little bit deceiving, especially at the very beginning. How at the end of Far From Home, when Jake Gyllenhaal, Mysterio, when he viraled that video out to the world saying that that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and he was being questioned, for the murder of Mysterio, right? Those charges get dropped basically instantly because they bring in Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox from the Daredevil TV show. That's probably none of the people fans are hyped. Oh, he's in it because is now trying to make a canon to the TV shows, right? If someone throws a brick at the window, he catches it. Saying, "Oh, I'm a really good lawyer." And after that, the charges were dropped. And basically, the whole thing, why they wanted to do the whole Spider and Doctor Strange did the whole spell, because they basically couldn't get into college. I'm like, I thought the trailers lie anyway, but the whole thing, the reason why they did the spell, because maybe so that everyone forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man because of what Mysterio did. No, those charges get dropped instantly. No, basically because they hurt him, MJ, and Ned. They all kept getting denied because of the whole controversy. So that's why. So basically, the whole reason why the universe almost collapsed and ended because they couldn't get into college. I just had to let that sink in for a moment. Why they throw away the whole thing with the end of Far From Home with him because of Mysterio being framing him for murder, and no, that's not the way to go. Just because they couldn't get into college. That's the way to make me forget of Spider-Man. So, yeah, and so they moved into Happy's place. Once again, played by John Favreau. They moved into his place. He had a little bit of Stark technology there still. They kept getting denied in college. That's when Peter Parker goes and talks to Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange. Telling him, that he wants to make everyone forget that he's Spider-Man. And Wong, once again played by Benedict Wong, Wong, he tells them it's the dangers of that. That it's a very dangerous spell, and he warns them, but Doctor Strange does it anyway. Which brings the question, though: if he knew what the spell would do, before you cast the spell, why don't you just sit down and talk with Peter Parker? Because he says it's basically everyone is going to forget everyone's Peter Parker Spider-Man, including himself, his friends, loved ones, everybody, the whole entire world. You could have told them that beforehand, because like you saw in the trailer, because Peter Parker, when he was doing the spell midway through all that stuff, he kept on changing because he wanted to make sure that Ned and May, MJ knows that he is. Kept on changing the spell. That's how it all got screwed up, because he wouldn't shut up about it. Because instead of talking to him about tell him about this beforehand. Tell beforehand before you do the spell. Oh, before you do the spell, I want to make sure that my friends, my aunt, even Happy, because he knows, those little group of people. Let them know I'm still Spider-Man, but not the whole world, right? You should have said that beforehand, before you just continue doing all this before. Well, it makes Doctor Strange an idiot as well, because he should have told us before all the stuff what happens during the spell beforehand too. So it makes Doctor Strange an idiot now, and that's when the spell gets botched because of that. And then right after when that's done, I was like, why couldn't you just call them? Even Doctor Strange said that. Why couldn't you just call it beforehand, People think that how this whole setup is great. If you think this whole thing is great, fine. I will just disagree with it. I will not understand it. Because it makes Tom Holland Spider-Man an idiot, and it makes Doctor Strange an idiot. And that's kind of like discouraging for me, because I was kind of looking forward to the Doctor Strange sequel, which was called the Multiverse of Madness, all because of what happened here. Kind of discourages me from looking forward to seeing it now. To me, it does. But then Peter Parker talks to that one woman who runs the college, asking his friends to get in the college, and then that's when Alfred Molina comes in. Dr. Octopus comes back and tells him, saying, "Hello, Peter," and he mentions, what have you done with my machine? Or of the sun in the palm of my hand, it's gone. Hence, bringing up from Spider-Man 2, and I thought it was a nice, fun action sequence where he was fighting Dr. Octopus, throwing cars, and he's trying to save a couple people from the bridge. Until when Doc Ock rips a piece of his suit off. Nanotechnology. You've outdone yourself, Peter. And when he pins himself to the wall, he's unmasked now, and Doc Ock doesn't realize it's not Peter Parker. Well, his Peter Parker from his universe. I'm sure all this people already know that now. And basically, he uses it's basically especially that suit, which once again I still have to say I still hate that spider suit, the Iron Spider suit. I know it's in the comics though, but to me, I never liked it. The spider legs and all that stuff. I never liked that suit. I never did. Since Infinity War, I never did like that suit. This is me though. And he uses that technology because that is basically still Stark technology, basically. And he used to control the arms of Doc Ock's arms. Great. Yeah, as you can see. Stark technology basically defeats Dr. Octopus. Stark technology. And then also now the Green Goblin comes in. Doc Ock recognizes him. It's like, Osborn? He kind of confused because, beforehand he was dead before when we saw Spider-Man 2, so Benedict Cumberbatch teleports into the sanctuary, to the basement, puts Alfred Molina in a cell, and he already caught the lizard, once again played by Rhys Ifans. And then his friends are there, and that's when the scene where he tells them what's your name? Dr. Otto Octavius, and they both laugh at his name. So Benedict Cumberbatch tells Tom Holland to capture the rest that have been free from the other universes. So, and which the suit, the black suit he has on, which kind of like has like images like a Doctor Strange symbolism images on his suit, the black one. Was not a fan of that, how the way it looked either. But then Electro shows up, and then the Sandman shows up, which Sandman, played by Thomas Hayden Church from Spider-Man 3, helps Peter Parker to capture Electro. Even before they high-five each other. But he kind of like distrusts him when they get captured, and all those things like well, they're all put in cells now, except for Willem Dafoe yet though, and he's saying that where's the, they mentioned about the Green Goblin, and Dr. Octavius tells him that can't be him because he's dead. He's been dead for years. So, yeah, like everyone knows that they came out from the appeal, pointing to the moments in their own movies. Like when Jamie Foxx mentions, just when he was about to die, he ends up right here. He doesn't remember after that. So yeah, like with Jamie Foxx, he came to this universe just the part when he was gonna die in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. He's right there. And of course, they say when Benedict Cumberbatch says they all die fighting Spider-Man. Not true. Lizard from Amazing Spider-Man, he didn't die. Dr. Connors. He was in a jail cell when the Men in Black approached him. It's like, you leave Peter Parker alone. And Sandman, he at the end he just drifted away. And also you mentioned people who knew Peter Parker as Spider-Man. If I remember, Jamie Foxx in Amazing Spider-Man 2, he did not know Peter Parker was Spider-Man. For what I remember. So that's another confused part. If he didn't know that he was Spider-Man, how could he? When Doctor Strange says, it's everyone who knows who Peter Parker was Spider-Man. Electro did not know he was Spider-Man. I don't know. But so they want to goes to get Willem Dafoe. He breaks his helmet because his other persona is talking to him. He finds up with Aunt May, brings him back, and it's when Benedict Cumberbatch has Doctor Strange has this box, to send them all back. But Tom Holland doesn't want to do that because as soon as they go back, they all basically meet in their deaths, basically. But listen, once again, with Lizard and Sandman, they don't die, so I don't know how that's gonna work. But Tom Holland doesn't want that. He says they can try and cure them. Like I said, trying to be sympathetic, I mean, again, I know the whole thing is that, with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, he's 6 movies in now. This is technically his 6th movie he has appeared in, right? I know the comics, Spider-Man has made mistakes on all that. I know that. But the guy he still has not yet have common sense. I know he wants to help. That's what Spider-Man does. I know he wants to help. But sometimes, But anyway, this is the stuff I talk with my brother and his friend. Is like, I'm the crazy one. Although my dad says something he says something to me like, well, you just see films differently. Yeah, like I say, we're all different. And like I say, I just see things differently. I just see things differently that he does. I'm just not gonna jump on the bandwagon. Oh, this is an awesome movie. Every movie has a bound to have a person who disagrees or agree or disagree with the movie. That's all. Yeah, but when it comes to my brother, we're always bang heads like, oh, I'm the one who's always wrong and everything. I hate everything. I'm wrong on everything. But anyway, and then also as I mentioned, common sense. well, okay, before that, Well, how further makes Doctor Strange an idiot because Parker tries to take that box. Doctor Strange uses that power to basically push his soul out, and somehow Peter somehow just swims to his body just like nothing, and Doctor Strange's like, "How are you doing that?" Good question. How? That doesn't explain how he's able just to also just swing back and forth back into his body like that. No idea there. Even he said it, and then he fights Doctor Strange in the mirror dimension. In the mirror dimension, and he fights him. And then he defeats him. I'm like, Doctor Strange is a very powerful sorcerer, right? This just makes him look like a freaking sissy wimp. I know, and especially in his own mirror dimension as well, because Spider-Man uses math to... I know Peter Parker's smart and all that, but he calculated whatever certain things, the moments where he captures Doctor Strange. I get it though, but it just makes Doctor Strange, who's a very powerful sorcerer, just make us such a wimp in this. I know. I should not be thinking too much about that though. It's Spider-Man. He can probably... I don't know. So maybe I'm just overthinking this, but it just makes Doctor Strange look like a bitch basically. And then he just leaves him in there. Take his sling ring, he leaves him in there. And Ned has the sling ring. So then, as I mentioned about common sense, Peter takes all the villains except for the Lizard. He's outside in a truck, but all the other villains into their apartment, which is technically his happiest apartment still, but. He brings them all there when Aunt May is there, when she can be in potential danger. And while Ned and MJ are at Ned's house watching the box, it tells them, if anything happens, you push this button, that's it. Although she never does, though, so that's irrelevant. But these are common sense, though. Your Aunt May is there with all these villains who could potentially kill her. No common sense. No common sense. But yeah, but eventually that Dr. Octopus, he gets cured, the chip that got broken in Spider-Man 2 gets reconnected, and he's now fully in control of the arms again. And the thing is, Doctor Strange, I knew Doctor Strange was not going to be a villain because there was another moment I'll get to though, but after this fight on the bridge, he's not a villain anymore. He's not a villain anymore after his fight on the bridge. So they mentioned all these things to cure them, and then Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin persona takes over, and then they give his others, these aren't curses, they're gifts. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, Sandman does a 180, becomes a villain, which he was they were supposed to be sympathetic, right? Remember in Spider-Man 3, it was sympathetic for him because he accidentally killed Uncle Ben by accident. He needed money for his daughter, right? That's why he did it, right? And he told Maguire's Spider-Man that, it was an accident, but he forgives him, and that's when he withered away, right? But now all of a sudden, I'm a villain now. He becomes a villain along with the others, right? And that's when Jamie Foxx, takes that thing that was supposed to cure him, zaps Doc Ock out the window. That's the one thing we saw in the trailer. He gets zapped out the window. That's what part I knew he was going to be not a villain, because always they turn each other. So, and then J.K. Simmons once again playing as J. Jonah Jameson was nice. Well, that's not positive I can say. It was nice to see him in there because he's always been the perfect J. Jonah Jameson, even from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. So yeah. That's another positive I can say about this. It's nice to see J.K. Simmons again as J. Jonah Jameson. Even when the Lizard escaped from the truck and he's like, "Was that a dinosaur?" And that's when Green Goblin fights Peter Parker, smashing through walls, through floor after floor. Decent fight, to be fair, even though it was CG heavy though, but decent fight overall. And that's when Aunt May takes those canisters to try to cure Green Goblin, but she gets hit by the glider, and he gets away, saying, "No, Peter, no good deed goes unpunished." And that's when before that before that happened though, Aunt May was telling him what Uncle Ben said, with great power comes with great responsibility. And yes, I mentioned about Ben Parker, about Uncle Ben. Yes, I know they didn't want to keep on doing the same thing because they did with the Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's trilogy, and the 2 Mark Webb Spider-Man movies with Uncle Ben and all that. I know they didn't want to keep on repeating the same thing over and over, right? I know that. I get it. But you have to at least mention, like, I don't think Aunt May ever once mentions about Uncle Ben. Never. Even the point of skipping to the head at her grave, he's not there either. I mean, shouldn't they be buried like next to each other? It makes it seem like in this universe, Uncle Ben does not exist at all. I know, you don't want to keep on repeating the same thing though, but at least mention something of Uncle Ben. If you want to have Aunt May say the famous line, the great power, responsibility, whatever, okay, but just at least, some point, when they're talking to each other, like, oh, this is what your uncle wanted, or your uncle was a good person, all that stuff, But at least mention Uncle Ben, for crying out loud. But yeah, she says the famous line, and then she gets hit by the glider, and then she dies. And that's when Ned and MJ are at Ned's house, he uses the sling ring, he summons Andrew Garfield. And I know, because I was in the theater when I saw this. I saw this with my brother, my friends, my dad. It was a packed full house on opening the night before, Thursday night, right? Everyone was so cheering. Everyone cheered when Andrew Garfield came in, especially when Tobey Maguire came in. And thing is, okay, with Andrew Garfield, when he first comes in, tells him he's Peter Parker, right? Ned tells him, prove it, that you're Spider-Man. He does this, jumps on the ceiling, holds himself on the ceiling like this, and then starts throwing bread at him. Well, I think it was Ned's mom or something that was throwing bread at him, and then tells him, go clean that cobweb. So you bring the grand entrance of Andrew Garfield coming back to prove he's Spider-Man. You throw bread at him and tell him to clean a cobweb. So that's the grand entrance for the return of Andrew Garfield. Go clean the cobweb. And then someone does it again. Then that's when Tobey Maguire comes in. Tells him that he's Peter Parker, and then they both, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, they kind of sort of little web each other, trying to see who, but they're both Spider-Man. And then all of a sudden, Tobey Maguire, did he somehow sense, I know he has a spider sense, but did he kind of sense about what Tom Holland is like? Did he mention, I think he mentioned he's crying or something? I forget. Somehow he was able to sense Tom Holland, his emotional feelings, I forget. But you do get that another positive of the moment that when they both come in and talking to Tom Holland, you say, saying how they both lost loved ones, with, Toby's with Uncle Ben and Andrew Garfield's with Gwen Stacy, Emma Stone. They both explain how they lost loved ones. It was a nice moment, I will say it was a nice moment when we see when they first coming together, talking about how much they missed with their loved ones and all stuff. So it was a nice moment. And they started working more on the cures, and with Tobey and Andrew working in the lab, right, in a school lab. And Ned mentioned to Tobey, like, do you ever had a best friend? I did. He died in my arms. James Franco in Spider-Man 3. And then the guy, I still never cared for Ned. I still don't. I never liked Ned. I never thought he was funny at all. Ever since in Homecoming, I never thought he was a funny character at all. I never cared for the character of Ned. And he tells Tom, he's like, don't worry, I hope I will not turn villain on you. Which apparently I didn't know this. I guess Ned, how his last name is, I guess his name is of the Hobgoblin. I guess so that's why they mentioned, Hobgoblin will turn villain on you. I guess because his name, that's the name of the alter ego of the Hobgoblin. So this guy here, who I never cared for, he's gonna be future Hobgoblin. So So that's why they had. So that's why they mentioned it. Well, he had to mention that. So stop rocking. So yeah. So then they go. Then they all go to the Statue of Liberty. All the villains are there, and Tobey's talking to Andrew, saying that, oh, I was a nobody, and Tobey was like, you're not nobody. You're amazing. You're amazing. Amazing. Yeah, I get it. From the movie title of his movies, The Amazing Spider-Man, I get it. But then they all arrive, like Sandman, Electro, Lizard. Green Goblin doesn't come in later, and then same with Doc Ock. And people were liking this the whole fight scene here. Honestly, to me, I didn't. I thought it was like everything just way too jumbled together. I mean, yeah, I like the moment where, when each of the Spider-Men in their costumes, each one standing on each side of each other, right? Like Tobey was here, Tom Holland was here, Tobey was right here, and Andrew right there. I like the moment, we finally got all three Spider-Men in costume together. I like that. Yes, I do. And we got all three other villains like Sandman, Electro, and Lizard there. Fighting. First they don't know what to do because there's that's weird. That brings up another thing. But even with the Sinister Six, even with Peter Parker had to face a challenge of fighting all six villains at once. It kind of brings up that, of course they had to have three of them to fight three at once, 3-on-3 and all that. It kind of defeats a purpose in those comics that's of Peter Parker using his wits, his mind, even with a little bit of luck as well, to fight all six of the Sinister Six, right? And I know it's to give the point of having all three Spider-Man at once. I know, but it's the point to defeat the purpose of Peter Parker having to face a challenge of fighting all six. Well, in this case, 5 at once though. But everyone has to have help, So. But curing with they cure Sandman first. Which when they cure Sandman, when he turns back into human Thomas Hayden Church, they use footage from Spider-Man 3. Yeah, I'm not gonna say they use. When I was watching, that seems a little off, doesn't it? I'm telling myself it looks a little off. And when I look at it more closely, yeah, it's footage from Spider-Man 3. Probably because Thomas Hayden Church, because he does the voice throughout this whole movie. Which he was the whole time in sand, human body, but all sand, right? Not the way Thomas Hayden Church looked from before in human, right? But he was just a sand figure, and he would still do the voice, yeah. Probably because he couldn't make time to shoot how he looked in human form, maybe. But it's just like I think it was just a lazy way to use straight up footage from Spider-Man 3. And then Lizard gets cured, and then Doc Ock comes in, and he cures, like I said, not being a villain anymore. He cures Jamie Foxx Electro. He puts the new thing in and cures him. And then him and Andrew Garfield have a conversation, are talking. It's like, oh, Peter Parker, I didn't know what you look like. I thought you were black. There has to be a black Spider-Man out there. Of course, hinting at Miles Morales, from the animated, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Miles Morales. Of course, they had to hint at that, there has to be a black Spider-Man out there. Yeah, hinting at Miles Morales. And then Willem Dafoe comes in. Before that, another moment that I liked, when Tobey Maguire talks to Alfred Molina. And Alfred was like, Peter, yeah, you've grown up. How you been? Doing better. So it's good to see you. It's good to see you, dear boy. And of course, I was waiting for him to say, still brilliant but lazy. He didn't say that though. Like he said in the Spider-Man 2, call him brilliant but lazy. I was waiting for him to say that, Peter, like Peter, you're grown up. Still trying to make it. Still, what was it? Still doing fine. And he's like, well, brilliant but lazy. Still. I was waiting for him to say that, though, but he didn't, though. But it was a nice moment when he was talking to Alfred Molina like that, talking to him once again. And then Willem Dafoe comes in. And I did like another moment I like when Tom Holland, of course, being enraged, blind rage, like with Toa or Setsuna, beating the crap out of Willem Dafoe because he killed Aunt May. This is part of the other side of Peter Parker we have not seen because he's always been. Well, because he hasn't because he lost to someone that he loved. Which that's the basic emotion of all. Is revenge and all that. Yeah, that's the other part of Spider-Man that we have not seen. You get what I mean. And then Tobey Maguire steps in, telling him, don't do it, and then he gets stabbed. He doesn't die though, but he gets stabbed though. And then that's when he cures Willem Dafoe, and Willem Dafoe is like, what have I done? And then Doctor Strange comes in. He finally gets out of it. And saying all the other universes are starting to come in. Like we see one shadow silhouette of the Rhino. Not Paul Giamatti's Rhino from Spider-Man 2, but the one who wears the suit, the actual suit. And now Tom Holland's ready for everyone to forget who he is. So he says they're good. He said he has that last moment with the other Spider-Mans, which was a nice moment, hugging, saying goodbye. And him talking to Mary Jane and Ned, saying their goodbyes by telling Mary Jane, hope you found me like you did from before. So, Doctor Strange performs a spell. They all return back to their everyone returns back to their universes, and now he's now accepted into college. Same with his two friends, but they don't know who he is now. So. He tries to talk to MJ, to introduce him as Peter Parker, but he doesn't fully want to do it, so kind of leaves him the way it is. He moves into this apartment. I think it's kind of the one that Tobey Maguire moved in, that apartment. And it wasn't enough for he mentions he goes to Aunt May's grave and Happy's there, no memory. Which I'm like, where's Uncle Ben? If he's. Like I said, it makes sense that Uncle Ben does not exist in this universe. Because her grave's by herself. Shouldn't be buried next to him. And then he makes another costume himself. It's the traditional Spider-Man costume. Yeah, it's the original, Spider-Man look, the blue and the red. And it's Christmas time, so trying to tie in with the Hawkeye series, because it takes place around Christmas time. And then you get the mid credits, which is basically I was like, wow, that was a complete throwaway. What a complete throwaway! Because during mid credits, Eddie Brock, Tom Hardy, after being after the end credits of Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, when he was sitting in the room, and all of a sudden this bright light comes in, he got pushed into the MCU because he saw on the TV of Tom Holland's Spider-Man on TV, and Venom saying, "That guy." You think it was good? People are thinking maybe he'll show up at some point in the movie. Nope. He's sitting there talking in the bar. Venom talking to him, and he's also talking to this guy who what happened to this universe. He mentioned about superhumans and Thanos, right? And then all of a sudden they said, "Oh, let's go see Spider-Man," right? And then all of a sudden, boom, he's sent back into his universe. But not before leaving a piece of that symbiote, piece of Venom, right on the counter though. Hence what's leading to the next Spider-Man where he gets the black suit. But shouldn't that Venom contain, because this is that's part of Venom's symbiote, should it contain the memories with him with Eddie Brock and all that stuff? So I don't know though. But I was like, wait a minute. After all, I was like, I'm sitting there the whole time. I was like, where's Eddie Brock and Venom? Oh no, they just appear after the credits, after everything is done for, and also then now they're back into the universe. So all that at the end of the end credits of Venom 2, that was very basically pointless. I'm like, what was the point of putting him in the MCU, but only just to go back again? To me, that was a complete throwaway of Tom Hardy's Venom. Like, what a missed opportunity there. Maybe we could have helped. I'm just probably blowing this way out than it probably is. That's why. Is why my brother says, oh, I'm wrong on everything. You hate everything and all that. But like I said, this is not, even after all this, it's not in my top 10 worst films this year. It's not. There are films that the other Marvel films I've seen are worse. Other films in general I've seen that are worse than this. Technically, the best superhero I have seen is the Suicide Squad. James Gunn's Suicide Squad. That, to me, that's the best superhero film I've seen, and that is DC. I don't truly hate DC. I like a lot, Yeah, but you see, technically, this is another rant on another Marvel film. So this is getting to the point where I'm just getting tired of Marvel now, and especially now with Doctor Strange. What happened with him? He being like treated like an idiot and a bitch now. Why am I need to look forward to his sequel now? Which I was kind of looking forward to because I liked the first Doctor Strange. So. I mean, okay. Acting, okay, positives. Acting is good, okay? I'll give it. The acting is good. Tom Holland was good. The other characters, like I said, now it's nice to see Alfred Molina, Jamie Foxx. Their acting was fine. Willem Dafoe, he was still fine as Green Goblin. He was still trying as the Green Goblin, yes. Okay, the acting is not the problem. It's just the scripts that just fails in this movie. So many, like, the things, like I said, the whole beginning of the film, him being framed for murder, that gets dropped instantly. Only because they couldn't get into college. Some of the moments, like I said, I mentioned with the other Spider-Mans, the one where he was talking to Tom Holland about how they lost their loved ones. Tom Holland talking to the brief moment with Dr. Ock, and I forgot to mention the moment. Another moment that I liked when MJ was falling, trying to mirroring the image what happened in Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Gwen Stacy. Andrew Garfield saves her, and he gets a little bit emotional because it's reflecting on what he could have done to save Gwen Stacy, but he didn't. I like that moment as well. Okay, that's another moment I did like. Yeah, how when Andrew Garfield saves MJ. So, but yeah. Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire. If you want to get mad at me, yeah, they were not that bad. Okay, they weren't. I mean, the whole thing with when Andrew Garfield's first appearance, they start throwing bread at him and prove yourself a Spider-Man. Go clean that cobweb. So that's your grand re-entrance for Andrew Garfield. Tell him to clean a cobweb. Look, some of the action bits I like. Except I like the action on the bridge, and then when Willem Dafoe was fighting Peter Parker, the act with all the other villains, the third act on the Statue of Liberty was a little bit of just a, cluster. Too much. I don't want to say it was like it's just intertwined so much. Just like focus on one person. Not too much of the shaky cam and all that. But and with Doctor Strange, with how they botched the spell call because they couldn't get into college, and then. No, except being framed for murder, maybe that's the reason why they want to make sure to get Peter Parker as Spider-Man. No, it's because they couldn't get into MIT. And why couldn't you sit down and discuss about the spell beforehand? You start making changes in the middle of it, You could, and then also, why couldn't you just call them beforehand, So, if people love this movie, I think it's the best film they've seen this year, best Marvel film ever. If you guys love the film, that's fine. I hold nothing against anybody who likes the movie. I will say it was a good. I will say I watched for a theater. I will say the first time, it was a good theater experience, because seeing everybody, a full house, seeing the, just like how it was when we saw Avengers Endgame, people cheering, to get for the audience reaction, I mean, that's what we go to the theaters for, and to make the film made a ton of money, the second biggest opening of all time. Now, the people didn't let COVID get the best of them, that's why people want to go to the theaters to see the film makes a lot of money and enjoy, the film made set records, you know. That's how it did before COVID, you know. On a technical level, yeah, it should see that make a huge amount of money. It's good to see that number again, because, you know, that's what we should not let COVID get to the best of everybody, you know, scaring people, everybody, you know. I'm not allowed to do that, you know. I'm going to go to see movies I want to, right? In a theater. I like going to the theater. It's my hobby. When I see good or bad movies. But yes, I see all the huge number again. You know, it shows in the middle of this pandemic. You know, it can happen still, and the numbers speak for itself. You know, second biggest, 260 million opening weekend. To me, in the midst of all this, that's still on a technical systematic level. It's still pretty impressive, and the film's gonna make $1 billion. You know, I mean. I want to figure this would be the film to make $1 billion, despite all the bullshit we're going through in this world right now. That's still pretty impressive. This is what people go to movie theaters for, you know. But yeah, all that aside, I'm saying this on a very technical, system by the numbers level, though. But the film itself, I was not a fan of. Okay, I think I'd rather prefer watching Homecoming or Far From Home, because I didn't rant on those. They were flawed, though. There were things I liked and didn't like about it, though, but they weren't. I didn't put them as rants, though. But this is not a full-on rant. Yeah, there was moments in this film I just strongly disliked, though, but it's not a full-on rant that made me totally angry at the movie. And like I said, it's not even. This film is not going to be in my top list. It's not, because there are movies I've seen that are far worse than this. That just pisses me off the most. But yeah. But Spider-Man No Way Home, like I said, I can already see the comments saying, "Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm wrong. I hate everything." I already know what I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this. I know, but hey, I already got that firsthand with my brother, so he already gave me the shit before all this. So I already know what I'm expecting. So, but hey, like I said, if we agree to disagree, if you like the movie, I hold nothing against you. It's your opinion. I respect. But in my opinion, I was not a fan of. I didn't like the movie. Okay, I didn't full on hate it. I did not. I just was not a fan of. But anyway, yeah, this is my review / rant, whatever, on Spider-Man No Way Home. I did have positives about it, though, but just overall was not a fan. Especially also, it's over 2.5 hours long without end credits. Take out the end credits, you know. Not every superhero film has to be over 2 hours long, though. But they tried jamming this whole thing into one thing, you know. If you were looking forward to Sinister Six, you're not getting that. But yeah, but this is my small, well, I say small rant though, but it's not full on rant because the caps are not going to be fully capitalized. Full rant is what I'm going to be pissed off on most, so. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next video, and we'll see you all later.